Hi guys, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot and welcome to your astrology for April. So I'm trying to figure out all different ways to make these videos a little bit more efficient, time efficient for you, for me, for everybody. So what I decided to do was create kind of an overall astrology video, pre-record it before every video. So that way, if you watch multiple videos, you can kind of just fast forward through that. There'll be timestamps below and within the comment of every reading. So I'll make sure to get the timestamps in. That way you don't have to watch this 12 different times and I don't have to say it 12 different times, which makes me super excited. So really cool stuff for April. I feel like this is a month I've been saying there's gonna be a good month. I swear, in all of these, really dense and heavy months we've had for over a year now, everything has seemed very heavy. And April's gonna come in and it's gonna be like shot out like a cannon, okay? I'm picking up elements of like that northern hemisphere spring fever kind of stuff. Now, as I'm recording this, there's actually stuff going down with the spring breakers in Florida. And I think that kind of talks about the overall energy for April. Everybody gets to be let loose. There's a lot going on with the vaccines, so everybody's feeling a little bit more confident about stepping out socially. It's kind of like a purge. Now we've got so much action from Venus as she's starting this new cycle, which she's doing right now along with this entire last week of March. And she's really going to culminate with these moons on the Aries Libra axis this month. We're stepping into a lot of cardinal energy and we're bringing back the cardinal squares. It's a little bit of a tense time, but really in a good way. So Venus this month is kind of resetting our values and our priorities, right? But it's much deeper than the wanting. I feel like all year we've all been kind of like having ideas or like, oh, I didn't realize I kind of really do like this thing over here. I would be interested in doing this thing over here. But now it's actually in the way that you feel. So if you're in jobs or relationships or any type of situation that isn't really speaking to you, it's going to get uncomfortable now. The universe is going to make you uncomfortable now. Pluto steps in this month and he really wreaks some havoc on our values, on our ambition, our relationships, and he questions, are we in the right place? And he teaches a lot of lessons and he's very intense. So there's all this flirty, fun energy. There's a lot of possibilities to meet some really profound people in our lives this month. We're working intensely with the nodes, so it's a very karmic month as well. And we have this dance all in the same sign. These planets are so active and there's so many aspects, and yet nothing that's, super heavy. Like I said, there's a lightness, there's a quickness to this month. Things are going to move very quickly. So going through the month, we're starting out with the Venus sextile Mars, which is going to give you that feeling like you're ready to get back out in the world. There's something that's very confident, very sexy about this Venus sextiling Mars. It's very flirty, it's very communicative, it's very expressive, and it's very courageous. If you are looking to date or start new relationships, it's a really good month for the dating profiles, okay? Towards the end of the month, we've got some Sun, Uranus, Venus, Uranus aspects coming in, which literally can translate into meeting people over the internet. So it's kind of a good time. And not even just dating, but even if you're getting into like specialized groups or groups that kind of hone in on your interests, you could have a lot of luck meeting other people, like-minded people, people that kind of vibe on your level. They enjoy your stuff. It's kind of almost a resetting of the tribes in a way. So expect to meet new people. Invite that energy into your life. Now on the 9th, we've got Mars square Neptune, and this is a little bit of a hairy part of the month. There's an element of dishonesty, and it could even lead to disappointment, you know, and this could be where we put some really high expectations on things, on people, and we get pretty disappointed. And it's okay, because the thing is, we're really learning to be, you know, independent on our own and not searching for things within others. Now, we have Pluto going retrograde at the end of the month. So all month long, all planets are moving forward, full steam ahead. But when Pluto hits that point, it means we've got to reset psychologically. So you can expect April to bring in the situations that makes us feel the need to self-analyze. And this Mars square Neptune is going to kind of lead up to that self-analyzation. You know, what are some of your bad habits? Because in April, you're going to want to jump into things. So if you're somebody who just kind of jumps into love, then you could probably expect some harsher lessons. You know, people don't turn out to be who they said they would be. Jobs don't turn out to pay what they said they would pay. You know, things aren't going to meet your expectation. It's also a time where you could slip into some pretty negative thought patterns. There could be some paranoia that comes up, having an issue trusting people, misjudging situations. There could really honestly just be innocent miscommunications as well. So take a look at that energy. Again, it's going to be things that later on in the month you're going to really want to look at. Why do I do this thing? You know, if you're somebody like, for example, you're dating and you tend to ghost people, you know, obviously it's because there's something within you that makes you feel like you can't communicate your feelings. So you might be in a situation where you ghost somebody or somebody ghosts you, and you really have to look into why these situations are a recurring pattern in your life. Just, you know, a random example. That's how that energy will play out. So then we roll into the 10th, and we've got Venus sextile Jupiter, and this is like the sexiest, one of the sexiest days of the year. If there is an opportunity to go on vacation, go out of town for the weekend with your partner or your friends, like, do it now. It could definitely talk about overindulgence. So, you know, if you've been working really hard at paying down debt, you know, this will be kind of the weekend where you're like, well, screw it, let's fly to Florida for the weekend and you know, really rack up those bills again. So you want to be careful of that. You want to be careful of any kind of overindulgence, especially because we're still in that energy of Mars square Neptune. So careful about the people that you meet. Don't trust people that you don't know, okay? Kind of look out for your drinks, keep yourself safe. Again, it feels sexy, it looks good, there's like a serious attraction, you know, and yet it could disappoint us in the end. So just remember to love yourself and make good, safe decisions. We're rolling into the new moon now, mid-month, 22 degrees Aries. This is on the world point. I expect this to be kind of one of the bigger moons that plays out collectively. You're going to see a lot of action collectively as well. Probably not huge mind-blowing events, although the moons can bring that in. But like a lot of fast information, situations changing, the story changing, like this is true, no, that is true. Remember, we're in Gemini energy, so most likely both sides of the story are kind of true. If you recall back in last May, Venus was traveling through Gemini and she went retrograde. And I remember thinking to myself, when we're in Gemini energy, which I have a hard time with because I'm all earth and water, so the air energies are a little bit tricky for me. So I always try to remember the Tao at that time, you know, like everything's about being balanced. Try not to feel too much, try not to get too invested, stay in the middle and remain calm. And so as this year rolled on, the nodes are in Gemini now, Mars is in Gemini, it's meeting the North Node. It's definitely a good time to keep that information in mind. It's always best, you know what's best. Separate from self, protect your energy when you have to, and trust your gut, trust your instinct, you know. This new moon in Aries is all about trusting our instincts. Trusting, you know, even when we're in bad situations, bad relationships, we're in bad jobs, you know, some people tend to stay in that discomfort for a long time. That discomfort becomes their comfort. Anything that's familiar, we can get stuck in. Now, March had a lot of trine energy, and sometimes I think about that trine as where we build ruts. Well, we follow the path of least resistance, and the path of least resistance is just doing the same thing I always do. If I can avoid change and everything stays the same, then I don't have to deal with the drama. Okay, great, but then if you're not particularly happy with your life, you actually have to take action to change it. So March was kind of like the, oh, here's your ruts, here's where you're stuck. And April comes in and it throws a bunch of sextiles, a bunch of squares at us all month long. Boom, 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 every day. And it's like opportunity, something that needs to be broken through. Opportunity, breakthrough. Opportunity, breakthrough. And if you look at every situation that comes up this month as, okay, I'm not going to take it too hard on myself. I'm not going to beat myself up over this. I learned from it and move forward. If you're honest, if you communicate, you could probably skate through this month and really enjoy some of the nice opportunistic stuff that comes your way. If you get stuck in the rut, if you put your feet, if you really dig your feet in and refuse to learn the lesson, or, if you get an energy of refusing to say you're sorry, or refusing to discuss anything or talk about things, again, you're going to stay in that rut. You're going to stay in that rut as long as you want. Again, it's a karmic month, making karmic decisions. There is an element here of the things that you choose in April are pretty long term, especially the end of April. So we're rolling into these new phases. We're rolling into the new us. And ultimately, in this Aries energy, we really know what's best. We know at a soul level, and by that we start to actually repel some of the things that we may have attracted to ourselves in a lower vibration. Again, if you're dating people or in jobs where you're really unhappy and the energy is toxic, what you found tolerable will completely become intolerable. Like, you cannot stay there. This universe is making you super, super uncomfortable. Now, middle of the month, we roll into some Pluto energy. We've got Venus square Pluto, then the Sun square Pluto, and then Mercury square Pluto. Okay, a lot of energy into the transformation. Pluto's still hanging out at the end of Capricorn. We've been going through this for a couple years. This is stuff that's lingering from 2020. It's things about the structures in our lives that need to change, and the Sun, Mercury, and Venus all making this square to Pluto are going to make them really apparent. Okay, this is the ruts, or this is why you stay in the ruts. If there are issues like self-worth issues, obsessive thinking issues, and Pluto can bring about like some pretty intense and fatal attractions as well, especially Venus square Pluto, I always call my fatal attraction. It can really point to how you are, and even with finances, those bad habits, those mistakes you keep making, think about Capricorn, you think about Pluto, and I think the Devil card, and it's like those things that call to us, that thing that says, yeah, but you could just buy one more shopping spree, or have one more bottle of wine, or, one more night out. And it's always that voice that whispers, go ahead, you could do one more time. And it's really an area of ourselves psychologically that's holding ourselves stuck in these patterns. We have to start looking at them, and we have to start changing them. We have to start acknowledging them. At the same time, we've got Venus making connection with Chiron, so we're in this super healing energy. The things that you figure out, the things that bubble to the surface, the underlying control issues within your life, lot of things can have control over us. It doesn't necessarily have to be people. You know, it could be an abusive relationship. It could be a, you know, a sexual relationship that you stay in even though it's really not meeting any of your emotional needs. It's where you sell yourself short and you get stuck in the bad habits and you think too little of yourself to make the big changes so that your life can actually improve. There's no doubt we're going to be moving towards the better things, the healthier choices. So right now, the universe is going to point out all of the negative habits that we have. We have got to meet them head on. And again, a reminder that Venus in Aries is going to say, this time I'm going to value myself. So maybe you made decisions in the past where you kind of didn't stand up for yourself, or you didn't want to create a confrontation. You know, Aries, Venus in Aries, no, there'll be a confrontation, no problem. It could even get really explosive. I'm going to tell everybody, watch your tempers mid-month. Watch the way that you talk to people. Watch the things that you say. This energy can kind of make you say things you really will regret, like the things that you can't take back. Yeah, it's an intense part of the month. It can also be really intense in a good way. If you are meeting somebody new in the middle of the month, please be careful, okay? Again, we're still in that Mars square Neptune. Got the nodes squaring Neptune. You got to trust your gut instincts, not other people, okay? You could honestly meet people that are very powerful or kind of use their power negatively. People that are very manipulative, people that could hurt you financially, hurt you sexually. So you just want to be aware of those situations. You could meet somebody, there could be a really intense attraction, and then it could turn out to be, you know, like a crazy Lifetime movie. So just be careful of that energy. Moving on into the middle of the month, we've got the Sun conjunct Mercury at 29 degrees. This gets really interesting. Not usually a big deal. The Sun makes a cazimi with Mercury multiple times a year. They travel very close. It's the degree that I find particularly unsteady. So at 29 degrees, Aries is, or was, for example, in America, the day that the Capitol was breached. It has that explosive, bubbling up energy. And because it's so close to all of this Pluto energy, you want to be careful of your surroundings, okay? This could be some kind of out of control, anger, rebellion kind of thing that we've got going on. And that starts around the 20th and it moves through the end of the month. So yeah, you probably expect some sort of civil unrest. You could probably expect some kind of, you know, protesting. Be careful in your neighborhoods. Just be careful of your surroundings. Sun conjunct Mercury at 29 degrees Aries also, you know, in our personal lives is a great opportunity for you to really stand up for yourself. So if you're in negative relationships, in abusive partnerships, in jobs that take advantage of you, you're going to have the strength to say it. You're going to have the strength to change your environment here. So take advantage. This is just a starting point. We've got Venus conjunct Uranus, which brings sudden changes in, you know, relationships and money. Now, this is kind of one of the times that Venus met Uranus in the sky was when that Robin Hood thing happened. So you could kind of expect something else like that. Now, it might just be a continuation of that story. We get a little bit more, or something more happens in the stock market, but usually it's something collectively within the economy or, you know, finances. So Venus conjunct Uranus in our personal lives is, you know, meeting somebody out of the blue, breaking up relationships, you know, it's sudden events like that you can't possibly predict, like a house catching on fire or, you know, car accident. So, and I don't say that to scare anybody, but these are things that happen in our lives that in a split moment can change everything. And I think we're dealing with a lot of big decisions. And it's like that split moment when you make that decision that changes everything. It doesn't have to be scary. Sometimes Uranus brings some very positive developments. You know, it could also represent with the Pluto energy transformation instantly with money. So, you know, luck, gambling, winning the lottery, you know, things that transform your life forever. So then at the end of the month, we have Venus square Saturn, and this can carry an element of isolation and loneliness. I am kind of leery of something happening where we kind of have to shut back down. I don't see it being a long stint, but there might be a pullback of energy. Now, the Venus square Saturn is the pulling back. So if you've had a crazy April, you went on vacation, you spent a lot of money, you bought new clothes, because God knows we've all been like in our sweatpants for a year. So it's kind of exciting to go out and buy new clothes, right? And have plans and go and see people, meet people and date. Like, that's fun. And then like the credit card bill comes and on the 25th, 26th with that full moon, 7 degrees Scorpio, again, another financial placement, another world point, ironically. Again, more financial developments. Of course, Venus is going to move, you know, her way into some pretty crazy transits in the next few months. So you can expect stuff with the economy to really be unstable. Remember, if you want to keep a leg up on things, get some money in savings. Be careful with your money. Be careful with your investments. I know it's fun and we all deserve to have a good time this month, but there is always consequences. And when Pluto goes retrograde at the end of the month, like I said, that's a credit card bill, that's the consequences. So you can expect that to come in. And then there's like the reconciling with that full moon. In Scorpio, it's intense and it's deeply rooted. And whenever we have moons coming up in any of the fixed signs, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio, you can expect some more big changes. This is the element. Again, everything was in Aquarius when the Capitol was breached, and that kind of changed everything forever. So, guys, we're in such an element of change. It's really important for me to point out, I know a lot of us are like, all right, I'm ready. I'm really ready for life to take off. I'm ready for these things to happen. And I think it's really important to understand that there's like not a lot you can do right now. Pluto's making all of these squares. You really don't have control. The universe has control. It's really, you know, if you've been manifesting, if you've been doing the work, this is where you're like, all right, I have faith. The universe is going to bring it in. You know, the Hierophant card, Taurus card. And you have faith and it works. But if you've got a lot of deep-rooted doubts, self-worth, value issues, lessons that you have to learn, guys, we're not in an element of settling. Uranus will not let us settle for any of the things that we settled for in the past. We're changing and we have to allow the changes to come in. So it's a really beautiful month, guys. It's super exciting. Just be careful and take care of you. Most important this month. Know your surroundings and take care of yourself. All right, guys, let's get started on the cards. Hi, Taurus. Welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot and welcome to your cards for April. So super interesting developments in your chart this month specifically because you're heavily activated with that Uranus in your sign. So you've got Uranus in your first house, you've got Venus starting a brand new cycle in the 12th house, which could be a slippery space for you. And we've got a lot of activation in the 10th house, and that's sticking out most to me in these cards. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was some pretty big developments this month, developments career-wise, developments social status-wise. It's regarding, you know, your home, your structures, who you are in the world, which is why we often relate it to your career, but it could also just be purpose-driven. And I think we're starting to put the pieces together, but with all of this activation in the 12th house, it really can't be forced. You're going to meet resistance and opposition the entire month if you kind of have an agenda. So let's jump into these cards and talk about this energy. You are coming out this month as the King of Fire. Love this. It's a perfect representation of Aries season, right? It's all about the initiation. It's what do we want? Where are we going? You know, it's stepping out of those places we can no longer be in, and it's leaving the fear behind. You know, this is where we can kind of feel like we're wearing courage on our sleeves. Now, Venus making a Cazimi with the Sun, bumping up with Chiron, bumping up with Aries. We have so much activation. We've got Pluto here, so you can expect a heavy emphasis on desire this month. That's what King of Wands is all about. Ultimately, it's the desire. Now, what you want to be careful of is what comes up right next to that, and that's the Six of Wands. There's a lot of fire sitting here in my hand right now, a lot of intention. This is those goals, that agenda, that thing that you want done. Now, because we have Mars making a square with Pluto, and we have some pretty tricky, obsessive kind of energy coming in this month, there are things that are simply out of your control, things that need to kind of flow openly, and yet you're trying to make things happen. Now, these two cards really do represent the ego. Now, I like that it's a King of Wands, meaning it's responsible, it's mature. You know, if this was a Knight of Wands, I would be a little bit more concerned that you weren't making intelligent decisions. But I'm a little more tuned in with this King of Wands. Seems to be a good indication that you're kind of following your intuition. So in some ways, I want to say this Six of Wands is a good thing. Well, of course, it means victory. It means you're overcoming something, some kind of a struggle, some kind of a conflict in a way. The Six of Swords is obviously a card of movement, but in the story, this person is kind of coming home to rest after the battle. Victory has been won. And there seems to be the idea being born of what do we want next. Now, if you look carefully at this Knight or this King of Wands, he's kind of got this lit up heart in his hand, which is very suggestive. I'm so sorry, it's so hard to focus in there. It suggests that there is a heart opening. This month can feel, like I said, you could feel very intuitive. You could feel very drawn naturally or attracted to a certain path or a certain person. There seems to be enlightenment. You know, he has the Sun. This is kind of what Venus is doing with the Sun right now at the end of March as she starts her new cycle. And this next couple of months is really going to be all about Venus as she activates the more masculine side of us. That's the side that has a plan. It has a strategy to conquer something. Now we have the Six of Wands and we have this Eight of Wands. So yeah, fast movement. There's no doubt that you're taking action on something this month. There are probably some pretty big conversations. There might be some contracts at hand or negotiations of some sort. There might be even elements of admitting feelings. Now, right next to this Eight of Wands is this Two of Pentacles, and there's a lot of earth energy here. And the Two of Pentacles is often very rooted and sometimes isn't aware of all of the options. I often say Two of Pentacles can be where you feel stuck. You know you have to drop something, but you're not sure what to drop. You're not sure where to go. Now, I like this Two of Pentacles especially because she seems to be a little bit in her element. She's relaxed. She's not panicking. It doesn't seem to be like she's really juggling She seems to be really engaging, visualizing, and feeling out her options, which really does tie into this King of Fire energy. There's again tuning into your intuition on a grounded level. Now, what I am seeing here, your environment being that of the Tower. So you seem to be overcoming this situation. And undoubtedly there is chaos. When the Tower card comes up, there's change. There's oftentimes a leaving. You know, the story goes that the people are jumping out of the building as it's, you know, burning. And so there seems to be an element of escaping disaster. But there seems to be something that's kind of just bothering me about this Two of Pentacles. I think just in this particular deck, she almost seems to be relishing the chaos, you know? Like she's almost enjoying the excitement that's going down. So maybe this Tower is something that ultimately is for your greater good. Oftentimes that's that Uranus energy. We don't realize it. It could feel like a disaster at the time. It could feel like the worst possible thing that happens. And yet you are set free. Uranus will bring you freedom ultimately. And there seems to be freedom from wanting to know what's kind of the other option. Now the second row of cards gets a little bit tricky. We've got the Seven of Wands, the Ten of Coins, and the Star. Now, 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Coins, right in the middle of the reading, center card, front and center, and this is what I'm talking about with that 10th house. There seems to be a pretty pivotal decision, especially with this Two of Pentacles. And I think the decision ultimately is, do I want to stay in the chaos or do I want to create something new? See, I like the way that the Seven of Wands kind of comes out underneath the Six of Wands. So there's an idea that you're kind of protecting something, and most likely Six of Wands being your ego. Six of Wands can kind of, it could symbolize your integrity. Seven of Wands is kind of like a feeling of kind of saving face. And for some Tauruses, I feel like maybe you were stuck in situations or making decisions that weren't really reflective of who you were. In other words, you were probably doing things to meet other people's expectations. Oftentimes, that's where that Six of Wands energy comes from. It's a sense of victory, it's a sense of respect and success, but it's not necessarily somebody who's following their heart. It's somebody who's kind of a little bit more based in ego. You don't want to let anybody down. You don't want to disappoint anybody. You want to do the things that are expected of you. You want to be a good citizen, a good human, pay your taxes, do the things that you're supposed to do. And yet, the thing that you're supposed to do is ultimately, I think, taking a toll. You know, I say that because whatever it is, this Tower card that came out, maybe it was a breakup or a leaving of a job or the ending of some situation. The Seven of Wands comes out above a Page of Cups. And so I feel like deep down underneath the Six of Wands energy, underneath the pride and the ego, there's some emotions. And these might be things that you're not really telling other people. You know, there are things here that probably hurt. There are things here that you probably miss. There might be really confused feelings, confused emotions, and this is kind of where you're protecting that heart. Now remember, you're coming out as the King of Fire. Your heart is literally on fire. So either there are buried feelings that you are keeping from coming to the surface, kind of in a very stoic fashion here. 10 of Coins. Not wanting anybody to know that your feelings are hurt or that you feel a sense of loss. There might be some heartbreak here. And for some of you, I think it might represent like that thing that is in your heart. And maybe that's something that you've been denying for a really long time. Maybe there's something really precious that you feel about somebody. Maybe it's a child, maybe it's a friend, maybe, you know, it's somebody from the past. I don't know. But there's something precious that you seem to be protecting. Now I see this, nothing will come of this situation, void of course, Moon. And Aries got the same thing. And I think this is kind of a theme for this month. It's, you know, it's about the overall clarity. Where are we going? What are we doing? How is this going to work out? Is this going to work out? I don't want to stay in something that isn't going to work out. It's about putting the pieces together and finding the new path. So, because the void of course Moon and the Page of Cups, I'm wondering if this Page of Cups isn't representing some kind of an apology, some kind of an offer. Maybe for some Tauruses, they've felt that love is kind of a chaotic situation, and so they feel as though they'll never emotionally invest again, right? And this Page of Cups is like being protected or being blocked from you receiving it. And here, right next to the Seven of Wands, this protection is the 34, Hummingbird Spirit, be here now. Hummingbird Spirit is fast. It's fast-moving energy, fast change, similar to a Tower card. Not particularly negative, but it looks exhausting. Hummingbird, although very, very cute, there is something exploratory about it. Meaning your mind might be racing around about a million different scenarios of how this particular thing can play out. And this could be a little bit of analysis paralysis. Thinking way too hard or way too long about how you want to do something or how you want to say something. You know, maybe you're leaving a situation and this is like you writing your letter of resignation a million times in your head. If you're trying to leave a relationship, this is you kind of going over that conversation in your head but not actually saying it. Maybe there's something that you really do want to invite into your life. Maybe there's somebody that you want to invite into your life. Maybe there's something that you want to do, a new hobby. And yet there's something you are over planning and over stressed about. Because I feel stress and exhaustion from the hummingbird. And it is a reminder to be grounded. Now that comes out a couple times in your reading. A reminder to stay grounded. So you seem to be filled with this desire. And you also want to remember that for the next several weeks, Mars is out of bound. When Mars is out of bound, our impulses, our desires tend to become overwhelming. We tend to give in to them. We tend to, you know, we could be easily angered, easily aggravated, easily, you know, throw in the towel and quit things. There's not a lot of thought. There's not a lot of planning with a Mars out of bounds. And so this is a reminder to stay grounded, to stay in the moment, and to know who you are. There's an element here with the Six of Wands of your dignity being at stake. And it's also a reminder that you cannot ever allow anybody to kind of throw you off your game, to make you lose control. Maybe that's what this Tower is all about. Maybe this is what happens when you lose control. Now, this 10 of Coins, this center row right here, this is really action oriented. We've got 8 of Wands, 10 of Coins, Knight of Swords. Actually, it's very interesting because we've got a lot of movement with the Eight of Wands, and we've got a lot of movement with the Knight of Swords. But the Ten of Pentacles is very rooted. It's very strong. It's very dependable. I often feel like the Knight of Swords has something to prove or something to say, some kind of a message. And because this Ten of Coins is standing there, I feel as though this is you taking a stand for what you truly want and desire in your life. And I think the important thing is your ability to take a moment. Now remember, the Seven of Swords, he's protecting things. But the Seven of Swords is allowing yourself to take a step back, to look at the situation from a higher perspective, to see it from both sides, to give it a little time to cool down. Remember, you're in this hot-headed energy. And when you give things a minute to cool down, they start to make a little more sense. If you allow yourself to get really thrown into that impulse, your ego might take some bruises. Now, the good news is I don't see like a lot of Five of Swords or Five of Wands energy. Like, I don't see a lot of things that are irritating you this month. You know, I don't see a lot of other people in this reading. This is really about dictating what's coming next. Now, next to this Ten of Coins is the Star card. And the Star card always brings an element of destiny. Whatever it is that you're going through, one really important thing to understand is that it's totally meant to be this way. This is totally part of your destiny. I don't know why I strongly pick out the idea of destiny when I see this card here, especially next to the Ten of Coins. The Ten of Coins is kind of our idea of everything we ever wanted. And it also plays a big role in feeling safe. And I see that you may have a tendency to be attracted to the chaos. But the very thing that you're attracted to, you're starting to realize is a thing that keeps taking you farther and farther away from your Ten of Pentacles, the ultimate goal, the thing that you want. And this is a really powerful moment if you could see it from this perspective. This is a really powerful moment where you start to realize that maybe your ego isn't necessarily your best friend. Maybe other people's expectations, other people's opinions shouldn't be so important. There's an element of connection with this Star card. And this is certainly the whole Saturn and Jupiter in your 10th house. This is about figuring out what the ultimate be-all, end-all is for you. Understanding what your needs are, what you want. Do you need freedom? Do you need family? Do you need a house? Do you need, an apartment in the city? Like, what is it? What do you truly want? What is in your heart? Now, you King of Fire tells me that you've been through some stuff, Like I said, it's a mature energy. And this energy is knowledgeable enough to kind of check themselves. Knowledgeable enough to know when it's time to do a little bit of self-analyzing. All right, why do I keep repeating these patterns? Ten of Pentacles can make you realize where you are repeating some pretty big patterns. And I feel as though this Knight of Swords underneath this Ten of Pentacles is the idea of you slaying the dragon, creating the path right to the destiny, creating an environment that suits you much better. And I like this Knight of Swords. He seems to be kind of warding away this Page of Cups. Very interesting energy here. I don't know if you could see, he's kind of, it's almost like cutting off this Page of Cups. Cutting off this more immature emotional energy. Cutting off certain emotions that you have. Maybe even these are just emotions towards yourself. Maybe these are emotions that you have, feelings that you have for other people, or maybe there is somebody in your life that creates a lot of chaos, and yet they keep coming in and apologizing and trying to get back in your graces. And you, being this Knight of Swords, deeply protecting this thing that you realize you want your life to be more stable, more predictable, more peaceful. And this Knight of Swords is your intuition telling you that you have to let this go. You have to let any instinct or any patterns that you have with this Page of Cups person in order to transform. If you allow the healing this month, Wheel of Fortune, destiny changes. The wheel turns in your favor. And it's important for you to understand, especially Taurus, especially any Venus-ruled sign, when we are in heavy Venus activation, there's always a very unique tie between finances and our emotional stability, where we are. When we're in bad relationships, we tend to be a little bit more reckless or even self-indulgent. Maybe your way of coping with a bad relationship is running up a credit card. Maybe your way of coping with a bad job is going home and drinking every night and developing these bad habits. And so you kind of need to cut out the source of the thing before you can really see progress in your life. And when you cut out the source, you know, almost like cutting out, you know, a piece of cancer, when you cut that out and allow the time to heal, then your whole destiny changes. You change the entire direction of your life. And so I think April is truly all about where you realize you are the one who's holding yourself back, which is really why I was not picking up a lot of other people's energy in this reading. The only thing I am picking up really is this Page of Cups, which I don't have a lot of positive feelings about. It feels immature. It feels like somebody who, you know, maybe hurts you really bad and they offer you kind of like a, sorry. Almost as if they never cared about your feelings in the first place, and probably like they're not really that sorry. And the Page of Cups is kind of irritating me. That energy is kind of irritating me, like, oh, it's almost kind of smug. And I think there's something about this conversation, or I think there's something about this situation that's really going to irk you and cause you to stand up for yourself. Just make sure you're doing it in a healthy way. Now, underneath this Tower card is the card of clarity. Let me trust my deepest instincts in all ways, especially when matters are unclear. May my own holy intuition always guide the way. See exactly what I was saying with the intuition of the King of Fire. There's no denying. You can feel it. You can feel it in your body. You could feel the vibration. You know when you're on the right path, and you know when you're not. If you're around people that are affecting your energy, be aware of it. You know, if somebody is draining you, if somebody is taking your fire from you, if somebody is making you miserable, it's not healthy. That is your clarity. You know, it doesn't have to be a gigantic tower moment. It could just simply be the realization that this is no longer healthy. And void, of course, moon, those things that are no longer healthy do not need to continue. And also pointing out this Page of Cups, nothing will come of this situation. An indication to me, guys, that if you do have somebody in your life that's giving you kind of a half-assed apology or a half-assed explanation, their behavior is not going to change. Nothing will come of this. Definitely a feeling Like you maybe could buy yourself a couple weeks, a couple months, but you're going to find this behavior repeated. Nothing will change. Now, interesting is these final two cards. Oh, and the bottom of the deck, guys, by the way, is the Magician and the Queen of Wands. Oh my God. Oh. Guys, there might be somebody that you really are moving towards or something. This feels like the other half, the lost part, is being found. Oh, I just gotta chill. So we have the Magician energy, which tells me that your sights are set on something. You know, you're trying to create something, trying to create that new life, create that new opportunity, whatever it is. The Magician is always a reminder that you have all the tools that you need. There is nothing that you have to obtain or nothing that you have to change. You have everything that you need to make this thing happen. Careful with your manifestation this month. You want to stay clear and you want to stay focused and not allow yourself to get kind of in these emotional pools, the back and forth, and don't allow anybody else to manipulate you. This Queen of Wands underneath the Magician tells me that this is your match. And maybe that's going to make this thing that's ending worth it. Don't avoid it. Don't avoid the stopping. Don't avoid the breaking. Don't avoid it because it's taking you to the place that you're supposed to go. Now, I love that these two cards came out together. And interesting enough, it's 21 and 42. Remember how I just said, you know, it's like you're heading towards your other half? Well, 21 is half of 42. Very interesting. So 21, clean it up. This is all about cleaning up the clutter in your life. I actually want to read these to you. I think this is really important. I'm sorry that your reading is so long. When I don't, you know, I did the astrology separately, so now I just kind of feel like going on and on and on, and it's not really time effective. Sorry, guys. Okay, clean it up. Getting to the core of a situation, just like I said. Freedom from a burden, cleaning a house, sweeping away what is no longer needed. This experience has occurred, and you could be done with it, and you can move on. Ever feel so bogged down with emotional gunk that you can't think straight? Could you be surrounded by physical clutter in your home also? Too much work, overwhelmed, time to clean house. Every item out of place natters away at you. I've used that word before. Every unresolved resentment, every comparison to others that leads to the sense of lack, take up energy and space. Every unpaid bill just adds up to an unnecessary feeling of being overwhelmed. Now is the time to free yourself by energetically clearing house. Just do it. Make room for the miracles that are lining up for you. Guys, for real. I love this reading. All right, Taurus, you're kind of my dark horse for the month. I had no idea. Oh, this is beautiful. All right, and then 42, chop wood, kind of along the lines of this be here now, being grounded in everyday experience and humility. There are times when the big dream is meant to lie dormant in your consciousness so that you can pay attention to the simple chores in your life. Consider why pruning a tree is a forerunner of delighting in the beautiful blooms, which is in full blossom. The mundane act of pulling off dead leaves, watering the soil, and then leaving it to be let nature take its course is an important step in manifestation. Taking your attention away from your goal brings you into a state of receptivity. This is a deeper purpose for releasing attachment. When you engage in everyday tasks in a meditative, contemplative way, you clear your energy and receive your aha moments, which brings you ever closer to what you seek. All right, guys. This might be my favorite reading of the month, Taurus. Nice. All right. Well, it looks like it's going to be, you know, a pretty wonderful month. This may not all unfold this month. Maybe Spirit's just trying to tell you that when you get through this, you know, it's so much better on the other side. So hang in there. But honestly, April does promise to be a pretty cool month. So, all right, I will be back for the lunations, probably doing a pick-a-pile reading, And then I'll be working on those. Oh my God, May. It's almost summer, guys. Enjoy the month. Take care. I love you so much. Bye.